story. Let's continue, though, to reflect on the story and get some analysis from Director at the African Center for the Study of the United States at the University of Pretoria, Professor Christopher Isike. Prof, let's get your assessment here. What is your overall view, your overall thoughts on what exactly has come to bear here? Because it just feels as though there's nothing else but the U.S.'s comments, the U.S.'s sentiment, the U.S.'s feelings, and that's all the world has to accept. It seems, Professor Isike, I think we may have you on mute for some reason. Apologies.
So I was saying exactly that's what it is, and then remember that I didn't say good morning to you and to your viewers. But you are correct. That's exactly what it is. That the U.S. is going to be the imperial rulemaker and rule breaker of the world without consequence. Because, I mean, I saw Marco Rubio's tweets about Ebrahim Rasool being race baiting. But the question is who's actually race baiting? Who started the race baiting? When the president of a country says, white farmers, based on misinformation, white farmers are being ill-treated in South Africa, he's race baiting, and that led to a group of white Afrikaners, protesting to the U.S. Embassy in Pretoria, asking Trump and Musk to come save them from the ANC. That's race baiting. That's causing division because of particular statements that are targeted at a particular race group, right? It's the same race baiting when the president then says white farmers are welcome with their families to South Africa and to America, and they'll get, a straight pathway to citizenship. That's race baiting. And yes, Ebrahim Rasool has not been formally, I've not met any of the U.S. administration, the new one, and has involved himself in conversations about the U.S. where he has openly expressed, his thoughts. Well, you could say that as an ambassador, more tact is expected from him. That's correct. But is he any different from the role that Pollack is playing in South Africa himself right now? He's lobbying to be the American ambassador to South Africa, but he's making statements that clearly indicate that he's going to be as bad, as tactless as they claim Rasool is. You can talk about, for example, the attempted renaming of Santon Drive, where the U.S. Johannesburg consulate is located, where he made it clear that if that renaming is done, the U.S. will simply close the consulate. This is somebody who has not yet become the ambassador, but is already indicating what America would do or not do if South Africa takes certain actions locally. In other words, the United States, through this proposed ambassador, is going to try and tell South Africa what to decide for itself and what not to decide. This is just unacceptable also by the Americans, much as we can criticize the tactlessness of the U.S. South African ambassador to the U.S. who's just been expelled.
Professor, should South Africa still be trying to mend relations? We already have a president who's basically said no more funding should go to the way of South Africa in any form or format. AGOA is ultimately at risk and may end very soon, ultimately, if this is the case then. And it seems that the U.S. is only listening to one side of this conversation anyway, by having had conversations with the likes of AfriForum and not actually listened to the president and the presidency, who have said that they're looking to mend diplomatic ties and actually get the United States to understand what's going on. So should we actually be looking to mend this relationship further, or should South Africa be looking elsewhere?
No, South Africa is having a very strategic response, and that is really commendable. Like your reporter said, South Africa is not going to be the one to fire the first salvo. Why? Because the United States is a world leader. So South Africa has to, deal with it, in a very diplomatic manner, looking at its interests rather than the idiosyncrasies or personal whims and caprices of feelings of a president, right? And this goes either way. So it is important. The simple answer to your question is yes, South Africa should be looking to manage the relationship in a way that focuses on its strategic interests rather than anything else. Why? Because the Trump administration is a 4-year term administration. Yeah. And the relations between South Africa and the US goes years, okay, and not just at state-to-state level, but also at the people-to-people level. Now, these relationships cannot simply be allowed to go in flames irresponsibly because of, you know, the antics of President Trump or his Secretary of State and what they think about South Africa. So South Africa should continue to be matured about this, to be responsible, but at the same time, and this is what South Africa is doing, they are looking elsewhere. They are looking to Europe, the European Union, they are looking to the United Arab Emirates. There are parties, countries that are interested in investing in South Africa and in coming to its aid, and South Africa should open relations with those, including even intra-Africa trade, which will help to balance out the shortfall from the funding cut from the United States. Yeah. So this is a responsible approach, and it is the best pathway to deal with this. However, I will not rule out South Africa also at some point expelling Pollack if, for example, he does become the U.S. ambassador. And remember, South Africa also has the right not to even accept him in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. Professor Christopher Isike, thank you so much for the time. Look, there's so much more to unpack on this story. And I think we're going to try and get to it throughout today and the days to come, really, because I don't think this is over in any way. So I appreciate the time. The director of the African Center for the Studies of the United States at the University of Pretoria, Professor Christopher Isike.